Welcome everyone to YourTown TV in beautiful Monterey, California. It is an amazing, gorgeous day. Sun is shining, and we've had a lot of rain this year, but that's beautiful too. We're all very blessed to live here, or if you're visiting, welcome. And I'm very excited to host the show today. My name is Sofanya. I'm an artist living and working down close to Big Sur, California, which if you haven't been there, you really must. And I'm excited to let you know that I'm going to be exhibiting my art in the month of July at the Dali 17 Expo right here, just about a block away from here. And I have some workshops coming up starting this Sunday at my studio, as well as a weekend retreat in May. So please look at my website, www.sofanya.com. And please feel free to email me or text me or call me if you need any information. I would love to have you visit and maybe paint with me. So here we are, and I'm very, very, very excited today to introduce you to a fascinating woman with amazing work. Her name is Claire Fay, and she is an EFT practitioner. And I want to welcome you, Claire, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say and learning from you.
Yeah, good morning. How are you, Sofanya?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited and happy to be here with you. So I guess we'll start off with first of all, excuse me, you practice EFT as well as other energy modalities for healing psychologically and physically. I have an EFT definition. Maybe you could let me know if it's accurate or not.
Okay.
Emotional freedom technique is what it means. The acronym is EFT. It is an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress. It's also referred to as tapping or psychological acupressure. People who use this technique believe tapping the body can create a balance in your energy system and treat pain. And before we started today, we did a very short tapping session, and I really enjoyed that. And I found it to be relaxing and kind of affirming that maybe I was a little nervous, but that I also love myself and everything was going to be fine. And it was very helpful. So can you tell me more about EFT and how it works?
Sure. I think the best way probably to explain EFT is to go back to the origin, how it began. A psychologist named Roger Callahan back in 1979 was working with a client who had a severe phobia to water. And she'd had it her whole life. And they were trying to clear it, and they just weren't making any progress. So Roger Callahan had also been studying the energy meridians. And during session, the client would often say she felt it in her stomach. She felt the fear in her stomach. So he had the idea, came to him in session, to use the stomach meridian. And so he asked her to just tap on her stomach meridian, and she did while she was talking about her problem, and it cleared.
Wow.
And it cleared immediately, and it cleared permanently.
And a meridian is this...
So the meridians are these energetic tracks through the body, and it goes back to Qigong. It's very old. So you have several of them associated with the different organs in the body. And so because EFT is somatic and cognitive, it synergistically combines those two things. So he was able to do that in the session, work with her, talking about the issue, exposure to the issue, and then releasing it somatically with the tapping. So
fascinating.
And that's really how it all began.
Huh. Yeah. So in your experience, then, this has been a successful way of treating people. So obviously everything is connected to what you were saying. That's my thoughts were, again, it's like from the micro to the macro in our life, that everything is connected to everything. So in the body, that if you tap up here, it can affect your stomach, or or if you get a foot massage, it can affect your whole body.
Right, exactly.
So it's just a fascinating way to approach, because I think that we really need to explore more these modalities that are not necessarily traditional Western medicine. And of course, that's been happening for a while. But this has been something I've been hearing about tapping for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So tell me about your personal experience with EFT.
Yeah.
How did this happen? What inspired you to get going with this?
Well, I was working with energy, and but I happened to be at a resort in Arizona, and I had a session with a trauma therapist there back in 2016. And I didn't really know that I needed healing, but I had this session. I had heard this gentleman was talented, and so I said to him, I don't know if I really have anything to heal, but we did this session, and it was so powerful. And I just felt an energetic release in my body that was huge. So when I got back to California, I looked into what he had done. His name is Brent Baum. He's incredibly talented. And it was a form of energy psychology. So I Googled around, and EFT came up. And I thought, oh, that tapping thing, well, maybe it actually works. So I started using it for myself on anxiety, and found that it was helpful, and decided to get trained in it. And now I've been working with clients for about a year with some tremendous successes.
Can you think of anything off the top, maybe your experiences without naming names, obviously?
Yeah. Yes, well, one of my very first clients had developed a fear of travel, a real extreme phobia of travel, and was just having anxiety all the time, and was on Paxil, had been prescribed Paxil by a doctor, and wanted to try this as an alternative therapy. And we worked together and cleared it. And he's been traveling since. And I said, how'd it go? They took a big trip to the East Coast, and he said, no problem whatsoever.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So how many sessions does it take to achieve something like that?
It really depends. Some things can clear right away. And really what we're trying to do is get to the root of so you can work palliatively and just tamp down symptoms, but it's nice to get to the root of something, so you just clear it all together. So we don't always know what root is of something, some issue like this, but we work towards it. And what we do is we go back into your history, and we come up with stories from your past that come up for you that you think might be linked, and that have some distress, some emotional charge around them, and then we work to release them through the tapping. Yeah.
So there's some talk psychology involved with this as well.
Yes.
And you're going for your master's in psychology now too, so that'll be a wonderful rounded.
Yes, exactly. I thought it would be good to have psychology and counseling background to enrich and inform my practice.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. So when someone would come to you, how would they know that this is something that would be helpful to them? Like if aside from, let's say, a phobia.
Sure.
Because I think that, in my own life, as I'm unfolding it, and it seems to me it's going to be really until my very last breath, I'll be seeing things, and recognizing revelations about what I'm not and what I am, and how much of it is conditioning, and how much of it I can let go of because I don't need it anymore.
Right.
So since everything is connected to everything else, and some of these issues can be, take some digging, and or not even necessarily digging, but allowing yourself to be conscious of them, to see, oh wow, that's what happened.
Right.
So can you achieve that through tapping and some psychology? Because it isn't just about thinking about it and recognizing, becoming conscious. Maybe just the tapping and talking subconsciously. So is it more, would you say it's more psychological or more physical?
It's
or
both. It's an exposure therapy. This is what we call it in psychology, an exposure therapy with cognitive and somatic elements. So it's really synergistic. And so you are bringing something up to look at consciously, and processing it and releasing it. And it's a very transformative process. And I think, as you said, you're not necessarily aware, but you become more aware as you do it. And I really think it's about, my feeling is that we're all beings of light. And it's like at a certain point we're looking at ourselves through a dirty window. And we can't really see the light anymore. Yeah. And we're just cleaning it. That's the process.
I like that analogy.
You're just cleaning the dirt off the window so you can see your light again, and really hold that for yourself and share that with the world.
Tell me a little bit about your practice and where you're located.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I've been practicing now for about a year, working with clients locally, and I can work remotely as well. Skype or Zoom are great vehicles for that. But I've just actually announcing today I'm joining a collective of healers in Carmel. I'm really excited. Very talented group of a community of healers. It's the Modern Day Medicine Women. And they're on Rio Road and Carmel Rancho Boulevard in Carmel.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm so excited and honored to be becoming part of that group.
When is that going to happen?
Almost immediately. Yeah, I'm just starting. Yeah.
What the other practitioners, do they practice similar things to you? Or?
It's an eclectic mix, but everyone takes kind of a mind-body approach. We have someone who is a shamanic healer and spiritual teacher. Very gifted woman, and these are people I've known for a long time. And another woman who does mind-body coherence and has a vast toolkit that she draws on. And we have an acupuncturist herbalist, and we have a woman who does energy work with older people, focused on relieving pain. And we have a holistic esthetician as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're covering a lot of ground there.
We've got a lot going on.
Yeah, physical, from the inside to the outside. And I love that you say that we're all light, that we have this light within us, and your analogy of cleaning the window, because it seems to me that this journey in this life is really all about that, about discovering how beautiful you are, what a light you are, that that you're precious, and to love yourself in that way. Because I think very often people grow up in a situation, whether it's a wonderful childhood or a terrible childhood, we're influenced by so many outside influences that maybe get stuck in there somewhere,
right,
or give us a self-concept that is just not real. And it's not always easy to recognize and then let go of those things.
Right.
So can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about how your process can really bring somebody back to that realization and clean the window little by little and begin to see who you truly are? Because to me it seems like even if it takes the entire life, that it's a worthy journey, whatever it takes, and you're bringing forth an opportunity to explore that in a way that's so useful and loving. So maybe could you just elaborate a little bit more?
It's a great tool because it is so simple. It's a very simple process. Anyone can do it. Children can use it, so they can stay clear from the get-go.
Wow.
And I think, really we're all responsible for one person, ourselves. And if we can each stay as clear as possible, then we have a loving world.
Yeah.
And I think that's
true.
really what it's all about. But what happens is during life things happen, and we don't dwell on them. We don't think about them as years go on. Something that happened a long time ago when you were 6 or 7 years old. But the body might still be hanging on to some of that.
Yeah.
And so what we find is when we start talking about it, we can get emotional around it. There's some charge. So if we find some charge around something, then we work to clear it. And it's a process. And you can do something called there's a process called the personal peace procedure. And in doing that, you make a list of everything that's happened to you in your life that was distressing. And you assign it a level of distress from 0 to 10. And you just systematically work through it with the tapping, just clear it all. And at a certain point, you're going to find that there are certain situations that were more important in developing what kind of condition or issue came up for you in life. And once you've worked through that one, all the others fall away and become irrelevant.
Well, I imagine that even with your lists, as you probe into those, you might discover even more. There's
absolutely.
Something else, there's something deeper. I've always found that, even with dreams, I kind of equate the feeling in the dream with a feeling in my waking life, but it can lead to something that you will go, oh my God,
Right.
I didn't even realize that was still
Definitely.
there.
Yes.
Or that I never knew it was there.
Right.
So, and you say that anybody can do this, and it's very simple, and I'm looking forward to trying more of that. But is it also something that you plan to train others, so that more people can do it on their own? Is there?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot out there already. I think some of the work is probably more productive than others. There are lots of different iterations of EFT. But I think it's good to work with a trainer, get familiar with the process,
Right.
and then you can further your healing yourself. Sometimes when I work with a client, between session, they'll tap. And as they do it, they get more familiar with the process, and eventually they can just do it themselves.
Can you, is it possible to do sort of a mini example right now so we can get an idea?
Sure, absolutely.
I'll do it along with you.
Okay, yes. Well, that's what we would do.
Yeah.
We would work together. So you would come up with an issue that you want to work on, and maybe you'd say like anxiety would be an issue, or it could be depression, anxiety. It can be pain, physical pain. It can be if you have a test to take and you're anxious around that. Sports performance, work performance, things like that are all things we could work on together. But suppose it's anxiety. So
I
then
think most of us have some of that.
I think so.
At least some of the time.
I know I've
Yeah.
had anxiety issues my whole life, so
Yeah.
this has been something that's helped me a lot with that. So
Yeah.
what we do is I'd say, well, we come up with a story around it. Tell me a story where you remember an early story when you had anxiety, and then we would tap on that. And we probably can't do that right now publicly.
Yeah, we have. We're kind of running out of time
Exactly.
soon, but let's.
So, but we can palliatively say,
Yeah.
as we did earlier,
Yeah.
we can do, even though I'm feeling some anxiety today, and you can repeat after me
Even though I'm feeling some anxiety today
about this TV interview,
about this TV interview,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love myself.
Even though
Even though
I feel some anxiety
I feel some anxiety
about being on air today,
about being on air today,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love myself.
Okay, and then we go up to the top of the head. This anxiety I'm feeling.
This anxiety I'm feeling,
Over here, the eyebrow. This anxiety that I'm feeling
this
today.
anxiety that I'm feeling today,
Okay. This anxiety about being on TV today.
this anxiety about being on TV today,
This anxiety about public speaking.
this anxiety about public speaking,
This anxiety about being on air.
this anxiety about being on air.
It's making me a little bit nervous.
It's making me a little bit nervous. I'm getting over it quickly.
I've been feeling anxious about this.
I've been feeling anxious about this.
I feel a little anxious
I
today.
feel a little anxious today.
And then what we can do is once we clear that, we go through and put a positive reframe on it.
Right.
I choose to stay calm, centered, and grounded.
I choose to stay calm, centered, and grounded.
I know I can handle this.
I know I can handle this.
I'm good at what I do.
I'm good at what I do.
I know my material.
I know my material.
I'm working with great people.
I'm working with great people.
It's going to go really well.
It's going to go really well.
I'm
Okay.
going to enjoy it.
I have enjoyed it.
Excellent, me too.
Wow, it was wonderful to learn more about this, Claire. So can you let people know how to get hold of you? So that
yes,
they can...
absolutely. I have a website, spiritedselfempowerment.com,
Okay.
and also the Modern Day Medicine Women, moderndayMedicineWomen.com as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.